Hey, Joe here from Home Studio Corner. I want to talk about the Presonus StudioLive Series 3 mixer, specifically the tape input channel, because it's really powerful. Look in your mixer, make sure you're in just input mode, and then scroll through all your different options until you get to the end. And what you'll notice is one of the very last channels, we talked about talkback in a previous video, is called tape. Now, tape is really, really cool. You may have noticed on the back of the input, it has a couple of tape inputs. These are like RCA connections left and right for in and for out. That input is what feeds this fader, but that's not all. This fader can also be fed from the computer via USB. So if we look at the channel, if we select our tape input and come over here, under the input section, we can select USB, which will be some sort of playback from the computer, or we can select analog, which will be the actual connections on the back of the mixer itself. And we can switch between those. We can even switch between network and SD card, but these are the only two that I use. Now, if you want to just plug in like your iPhone via an 1/8" jack to an RCA connection and have it run through your mixer, you can do that and just select analog. If you want to play back from your computer, you can select USB. Now, how do you make sure your computer is playing back? What's an example where that would make sense? If you want to play back your iTunes rig and you want to have it come down on its own fader, out of your computer, all your computer audio, whether it's iTunes or your web browser, YouTube, things like that, you might want them to come down a different channel than your normal output for your recording software. The way you do that, if you come to the top right of the mixer, you see the big meter there, just down below, see where it says tape? Hit that edit button just above that, and you'll see a number of things will show up. We can select our tape source. That's the same as these buttons over here. It just gives you a visual of it. But we can also see our digital patching. So as you can see, my USB channels 37 and 38 are what are feeding this tape input when we select USB. Okay? That means inside my computer, I've set it up to basically say, all computer audio, I want you to go out of channels 37 and 38 on my USB audio interface. To do that on the Mac, it's really simple. Just open up the Audio MIDI Setup application. On the left-hand side, select your audio device, which would be the StudioLive. On the right-hand side, just click on Outputs. You can see all these outputs listed. You want to go down to the bottom right-hand corner, click on Configure Speakers, and this is where we can set up what channels we're coming out on. For stereo playback, which is really everything we're going to want, we just select the speakers. If I click on this, we can see now I have all these StudioLive outputs to choose from. As we said, we looked at the board, it said channel 37 for left, channel 38 for right, and that's it. Now, when we play something back from our computer, it'll come down our tape input fader on our mixer as long as it's set to USB input over analog. Now, if you're on the PC, it's going to be obviously a little bit different setup, but I've done it once or twice. Similar deal. You just go to wherever your system audio settings are, choose the device, which would be the StudioLive, and it should give you the option to choose what channels to use. Now, which channels you use really doesn't matter. I would just recommend using something other than channels 1 and 2. Most recording softwares and most sessions you probably already have on your system have the main output going to outputs 1 and 2. So if you want those to be separate from what's playing back from your computer, which is kind of a fun thing to do, then I would say choose a different output. Any of them will do on your board for that. All right, that's it for today's riveting adventures in Presonus StudioLive. I'm Joe Gilder. Thanks for watching. See ya.